Hello, this video is brought to you by my supporters on Patreon and my members on YouTube. Minasan, arigato gozaimasu. I really appreciate your support. This is my good life meditation. It's an exercise that I do every morning a little bit after waking up. It's now 4:44 a.m. on Sunday, February 4th, 2024, day 315 in my countdown to retirement. I do this video to remind myself of my life objectives and principles, those which are outlined in my book, Going Alone, which you can get a copy of from the link down in the description. I also use the time to think about the last 24 hours and how I did with the various challenges and opportunities that I met, particularly the ones that took me by surprise, that required my lightning fast, measured response, right? Rather than just flying off the handle, how can I tune my mind and body to react in a more disciplined, thoughtful, mature, stoic manner. I prepare for the coming day, and then I ready myself for death. But before I do any of that, I always like to read a poem. So today we're going to turn back to Edward Thomas, to a poem. I don't know what's coming up next. Let's see. Oh, here's one called The Gentleman. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Just a second. A gentleman. He has robbed 2 clubs. The judge at Salisbury can't give him more than he undoubtedly deserves. The scoundrel. Look at his photograph. A lady killer. Hanging's too good by half for such as he. So said the stranger, one with crimes yet undiscovered or undone. But at the inn the gypsy dame began. Now he was what I call a gentleman. He went along with Carrie, and when she had a baby, he paid up so readily. His half a crown, just like him. Crowns have been more like him, for I never knew him mean. Oh, but he was such a nice gentleman. Oh, last time we met, he said, if me and Joe was anywhere near, we must be sure and call. He put his arm around our Amos, all as if he were his own son. I pray God, save him from justice. Save him from justice? Nicer man never trod. That one, I couldn't read that one very well at all. And this, I expected. Edward Thomas is very difficult for me to read. His structure isn't prone to easily discern where something ends. It's like the sentences go on, and you think you've finished, and you put a stop on it, and you realize that was only a comma, or wasn't even a punctuation mark at all. It was just the end of a line, and you got to carry on, and then you have to carry on mid-sentence when you've already stopped it. It comes out really strange. Clearly, this is what sounds like a man talking about another man who was once a gentleman, or perceived to be a gentleman, turns out to be a scoundrel, a robber. And the woman, the gypsy dame at the inn, describing how good he actually was, how he took care of Carrie when she was in the family way. That sounds like by this man, etc. So this is like pulling, to me, like taking the pieces of a puzzle and scattering them out on the table, and you begin to form the image, but we're still have a ways to go. Let's read this one again tomorrow and see if it'll come out more clearly, and maybe I'll practice it a couple of times. It's more fun sometimes when I don't. Okay, on to yesterday and last night. Let's take a look at yesterday's checklist. There it is. So the work side, I just promoted those to today, because that's, I'm not going to actually work on my day off yesterday. On the personal side, I checked off just about everything except these items here, about 5 items. I did a little bit of work on the money thing. All that money means is that I open up all the accounts and have a look at everything. And I like to do that every day. Open up my online banking apps, have a look, because I have so many things going on. I have and have various different accounts set up to fund all of the activities in our lives. Like Emily has her account, and I shuttle money into her account every week to keep her, it's her stipend, her living stipend, to make sure that goes. I also pay her rent and to make sure that I paid the rent on the 1st, it's now the 3rd. I want to make sure that clears. Pay our own rent, that comes from a separate account too. We have, Yumiko has an account, I have an account, the household has an account. There's 2 credit cards and a loan. I just want to make sure all, and then there's the international bank account where money goes that is intended to go to Japan. So money gets funneled from these other accounts into that. And then I have my still another account for all my online activities. That's in a separate bank altogether, although I just moved that into the main bank. I'm going to consolidate and close that account before I leave for Japan. But you see, it's like I should probably make a Visio diagram of all the banking and how our banking works, because it's actually complicated and quite fascinating. But the money comes in, and then it all gets dropped into one account, and then I have automatic processes that every week or every month come in and sweep the money into the various accounts to fund our lives. And soon, when Emily's all grown and gone and she's off to have her own life, I can shut all that down. That'll be a huge, a lot of money goes to Emily. And she'll be independently supporting herself, a young woman of means, as I like to say. And then I'm trying to simplify it, because now soon, Miko and I, it's going to be so simple. It'll be just the two of us. The retirement income comes in, gets shuttled to the right accounts. We'll still have our own separate accounts, because it's our allowance, right? We each have our little bank account where it's our mad money. We can do whatever we want. And money just gets funneled into those. But then we're also going to have the business part. So I guess it'll remain complicated. That's what that means. If you see when money's on every day, that's on, and I always take a look, and then I promote it to tomorrow. The arrow there means the promotion. I did a whole block. I looked at all these and promoted those. So the other things that I didn't do yesterday was I did not start the illustration on a new book. I did not create the bike trader, the cycle trader ad to sell my motorcycle. I did not. Well, I couldn't. I need to Miko and I need to go in and meet with Social Security one more time. And I didn't do the dog stuff, getting the dogs ready for the trip. So I'll work on that today or tomorrow. Promote. As for the day, it was a great day. Went to the beach after I did all my chores, all my cleaning. Had a great swim in the ocean, did a lot of workout on the sand, calisthenics, all stuff. I've still got my tummy. I went and I saw the doctor earlier this week, and I gained 4 pounds. I gained 4 pounds over the holidays, and while I was out of commission a little bit, and various and sundry other things. So gained that back. I'm going to get that, as Casey in Japan, I'm following somebody new to me at least, Casey with his Bean Pod podcast, and he likes to describe beach bod weight. I like that. I'm going to adopt that. Casey, if you happen to see this, thank you. I like that. I know that's an old term, but I hadn't heard it in decades. And so beach bod, I keep thinking about that. I got to get down to beach bod, which for me is about between 80 and 82 kilograms. It would be a beach bod for me, and I don't even know what that translates into pounds. And I'm 86 kilograms now. Ugh. Okay, great day. And then I had a nice lunch with my wife. We had some good talks. We did our shopping. We had a nice evening together. Altogether, it was a really fine day. Nothing ambushed me. Had no cause to really use any stoic discipline or resolve, other than the discipline or resolve to keep my posture upright, measure my speech, keep my gaze steady, my thoughts reined in as best I can, and my consumption tempered. And I did. I had just a little half glass of wine. Okay, nothing more for yesterday, I don't think. As for, let's do the good life. The good life is my creed. It's in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life. There are 8 objectives, and 35 principles. Today I'm going to talk about the objective called sin and damnation, and then I'll list out all the rest. Sin and damnation. Now, it's been a while since I've recited this one, so sometimes if I want, I can cheat and look at the book. Let's read it. I think there's like 6 sub-principles of this one, and these 6 sub-principles are the actual sins themselves. Excuse me. Pardon me. It's quite a ways through. It's after. There it is right there. Okay, so in the book, in the chapter titled The Good Life, you can find all of the principles and objectives laid out. There it is right there. Okay. Sin and damnation, the sub-principles of which are falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, rumor, and gossip. Now, I don't believe in God, so these aren't sins against some deity. These are sins against my own desire and interest in pursuing virtue, where virtue is defined as the efforts to improve the well-being of thinking creatures. The sins then are the sins against that effort, that endeavor, that pursuit, that life in pursuit of virtue. Falsity means being untrue. Credulity means believing things too readily. Faith is a strange creature. It is virtue. It is vice masquerading as virtue. It is what we use to satisfy the beliefs that we want to hold in the absence of good reason to hold that belief. So I don't know how this ever became confused with virtue, where people think that they just need faith, or that faith is somehow a good thing. It's not. It's a sin in my worldview. It's a sin to believe things just because you want to believe them, just because you convinced yourself to believe that it's true, even though you may not have good reason to believe so, and good evidence to believe so, and sometimes often in spite of bad evidence. Superstition is on the list because it's almost a categorical area of seeming nonsense. I say seeming because it could be true. Bigfoot might be real. UFOs might be out there, indeed, zipping around our skies. The Loch Ness Monster might be there. Maybe it is a good idea to throw salt over your shoulder, to avoid the evil eye. But for the most part, I think I can categorically dismiss without evidence those things that purport to be true based on little or no evidence. Dogma and authority kind of go together. Dogma is the corpus of belief that we then refer to in sustaining our worldview and our own creed, or the creed that we choose to abide. The dogma of a religion, for example, are the things that that the religion expects us to believe and on board to be a part of that religion. I don't hold that that's a good thing. I mean, you could call the Good Life Creed a dogma, if you like, but I don't require. It's a creed of one. It's my own creed. I don't require myself to believe it without sustaining it. And how do I sustain it? Well, by this very exercise. The reason I started doing this Good Life meditation all those years ago was to have a daily challenge to myself to, 1, remember the creed principles and objectives, and 2, to challenge myself to see if they be sound. That's exactly what I'm doing right now. So it's a dogma under scrutiny in that way. But I guess I would say unscrutinized dogma, unconsidered dogma, dogma accepted on faith. Authority is next to that. The ways that I say that those kind of two go together is often religions have that. They'll have dogma supported by authority or overseen by authority. Authority, of course, is believing something because it appears that the office or the person who is purporting such a thing to be true or important seems to have credentials. Credentials aren't enough. Reasons, good reasons, are usually enough. Although, there are cases where credentials are enough. Like if a policeman pulls me over at the side of the road, I will pull over and I will follow his or her instructions due to their authority. I don't know them otherwise. That's part of the reason why for the uniform and the badge. But to rest my my worldview on an unchallenged authority is asking too much. And then the last two are kind of separate from these. These are rumor and gossip. I just say these are sins because they're just bad things to do. It's bad to trade in rumor. It's lazy. It's ineffectual. It's evil in some ways. It is. And then gossip, of course, is trading in rumors, um, which is it's just an awful use of time. So these are the sins in my worldview. The damnation part is what comes of executing or being involved in any of these things. We then suffer a life of damnation, living a life that is or not sufficiently examined or overseen by ourselves or regulated. Now let's go ahead and read what it says. Okay, sin and damnation, sub-principles again: falsity, credulity, faith, superstition, dogma, authority, rumor, and gossip. It is a sin to invest our expectations with hope, which may be corrupted or foiled by fortune. It is also a sin to believe things without good reason, to acquiesce for the sake of comfort or security or peace, or to simply avoid the discomfort of not knowing. The penalty for this sin is damnation in the here and now, which is the only time we will ever really have. Damned for our unreasoned want. Damned for our unreasoned belief. Damned for our thoughtless, careless communications. That's the sin, the principle called sin and damnation. All right, let's go ahead and recite the rest of the objectives. Or the objectives, I haven't recited any of them yet. There are 8. 1, to be always ready to die. 2, to make good and effective use of time. 3, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles. 4, to cultivate good emotional reactions. 5, to perform good actions. 6, to recognize true limits and true opportunities. 7, to do just one thing at a time and do that thing slowly, deliberately, and carefully. And then 8, to maintain my balance. The 35 principles now. Here we go. War, reason, homunculus, anchor hold, home of good and evil, purpose, atomic principle, nature, pirate ride, maturity, social principle, family, public speaking, temperance, life will not go well, the horror show, that which must be born, the feast of offal, distraction, agency and the great indifference, the best seat in the house, the restless man, the path of wildness, the great life adventure, the risk of avoiding risk, sin and damnation, complete oblivion, the season of philosophy, script writing, the bullseye aim, the uphill climb, arena and utility, nothing is enough, the principle of fun, and being prepared. 35 I say? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 35 I listed. Stumbled there for just a little bit, but I got it. All of these are the ones in the book. And the one you might have heard it, Sin and Damnation. I just pull one out every day, like taking them off a shelf and think about it, look at it. Does this sound? Do I describe sin and damnation as sound? Yeah, I think so. I think that's a good principle to have, to identify what I define as the sins against reason, the sins against the attempt at a virtuous life. Okay, next, let's plan for the coming day. It's just a usual Sunday. I was thinking last night, well, why do I task myself with so much stuff on Sunday? At least one day off. This is the way I like it. So I'll do all my usual stuff. I'll go to the beach and do my book reading. Hopefully the rain will give me a little bit of a break and I can do that. And I'll enjoy a nice day with my wife before I gear up for another week, or a solid work week to come. I wonder how many weeks of work I have left. That might be an interesting number to suss out. The last thing I do before I complete the exercise is I ask myself if I'm ready to die. This consists of asking myself 3 questions, and if I can answer each of them in the affirmative, then I'm ready to die. The first question is my life's work complete? Actually, that's not the first question. That's the last one. The first question is, are my affairs in order? This means, namely, are my bank accounts in good shape? Are they accessible, and are they all being run correctly? And very importantly, are they accessible to my wife and daughter? Mainly my wife, and only my wife. Emily doesn't have access. She'd have access by virtue of survivorship, but I haven't made that overarching plan. Basically, I've made plans for, because I run the money in the family. So at least when we're here in America, when we're in Japan, Yumiko runs the household finances there. But I always run the bigger bank accounts, all that stuff. So yeah, I've got those all set up. It's a box in there. It's got all the paperwork. It's all in. Yumiko knows where it is. And there's a letter at the top that says, "Read me," that explains it all if I die. And Yumiko's got a copy of it on her desk too. And yeah, affairs are in order. 2, are my relationships sound? Do I have anybody that I've got unspoken business with that I need to resolve issues with? No, all my relationships are sound. 3, is my life's work complete? My life's work consists of 2 things. 1, raising my daughter. 2, writing my story. My daughter's raised, my book is written. My life's work is complete. All the rest is gravy now. And I'm about to enter the retired period of life. Hopefully my health will stay and I can enjoy maybe a good couple of years, if I'm lucky, a decade, maybe more, of good, solid living to come. Of course there'll be problems, ups and downs. But when death finally comes, which it could come in moments from now, am I prepared to fall away into oblivion without a single backwards glance? I am. Or at least that's what it seems. We'll see. I wish you all the best. Be safe, but not too safe.